to all your wonderful listeners and sorry, I should say not listeners alone,
Yeah,
viewers.
definitely
We're
viewers and
we're on TV.
definitely viewers and listeners. All right, so Mr. Peter Kim, St. Lucia will be hosting the OECS Swim Championship. How has preparations been going so far for this tournament?
I think preparations have been going very good. We have a wonderful team with us now, and they're certainly doing a lot of work. The clubs are helping a lot. We have reached out to the clubs for volunteers to help with this, and they're certainly on board with this. But we have a really good team now at the executive, and everyone knows their place. We know what we're supposed to do. We join together when we need to join together. We have a meeting. We talk about what have to do. Then everybody branches off on their own because they have their own portfolio to complete, and it's coming along really nicely.
Definitely. So let's talk about a little bit about our team.
Yes.
I think St. Lucia would want to know the composition of our team and what we can expect from our swimmers this year.
Okay, would you like me to read out the
Go
team
ahead, go ahead.
to the public? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. We start, of course, with our 8 and unders. We have Faith Jeffrey, who is training in Barbados, but is a member of Southern Flying Fish. She's doing pretty well. And we have Mila Festini Cromer of the CJ Swim Club, and those are the two 8 and unders. Our boys, Antoine Destang, you know, Antoine, most people know him in swimming already, and Diego Vargas. 9 to 10, we have 4 girls because our relays are not 8 and under, 9 to 10, but 10 and under. So the stronger are 9 to 10 girls. We have Jasmine Steed, Amelia Joseph, Jamina Odlum Smith, and Anais Batayad.
I'm happy you having difficulty with some of the names, because when you got those lights on and you're reading it for all of St. Lucia, you're like, oh my God, what is that?
I know.
I'm happy you're here to provide that clarity.
I remember once doing the Olympics for Caribbean Media Corporation in Barbados once, and looking at all the names from a whole bunch of Polish and Czechoslovakian and names like that, and so I just couldn't pronounce them. So I
Just leave it alone.
Our boys, Sarah Harrell, Carrick Charles, Ethan Hazel, those are our 9 to 10 boys. 11 to 12, Naima Hazel, who you know very well, Nakisha Louis, 2 girls doing very well for Lightning Aquatics. 11 to 12 boys, DeAndre Blanchard, Ziv Reynolds, and Akeem Ernest. 13 to 14 girls, Michaeli Shalman, you know, she just swam at the meet. 11 individual races, 11 gold medals, 11 personal best times, an amazing swimmer.
Absolutely.
Marissa Louisi, Maya Hille, and Shalini Joseph, they make up the 13 to 14 girls. Jehan Odlum Smith, Terrell Marchese, and Jamar Archibald, they're the 13 to 14 boys. We expect a lot from them. They've been swimming very well. They're at the top of their age group. They have excellent coaches, Brian Charles and Coach Norm from Canada, and of course John McLennan is there with them now. We expect a lot from the boys. They're swimming well, and we think they're going to do very well at this meet. 15 to 17 girls, Eden Crick, Michaela Casimir, Abby Pulte, and Maya Peter, who will make up the 15 and over relay, the four girls. Our boys, Nicholas McLennan, Omar Alexander, and Devin Buddha. 18 and over girls, Vanessa Eugene and Shanice Popo. 18 and over boys are Johnny Caldron and Mike Louis Fernandez, the 2 old-timers that have come back in to help us, but guys that know their stuff in swimming. Our coaches, the head coach is John McLennan, and he's assisted very ably by Peter James and Sherma Bernard. Peter is from Lightning Aquatic, and Sherma is from the Southern Flying Fish. So that's our team, and very strong in certain age groups. Certain age groups are going to have to swim very hard to catch their competition, because the challenge is very good. But believe you me, every single one of them will give everything they have at this meet.
Grenada, they've won back-to-back championships, and they would be looking to do a treble, and they will be coming, right here on our shores. We won the year before.
Yes.
What must we do as Team St. Lucia to ensure that we come out victorious this year?
You know, if you don't know your competition completely, then it's a little hard to say what we need to do. What we need to do is swim fast.
Yeah.
And our kids are ready and willing to swim very fast. What has happened in the past is that so many of the countries have brought their swimmers back from universities. When we brought Jordan back, we won back-to-back as well. Yeah. And they're bringing their kids back from university. Orioloa Cherubim, a fantastic swimmer, she'd be 18 over for Grenada. Orioloa is going to win most probably just about everything in that age group. She's at university swimming for her university, so she's going to do well. We haven't seen the Antigua team as yet, because as you know, Antigua had the problem with the storms, and the electricity cut down, their pool turned green. So they just had their trials this weekend, and we expect them to send in their entries by Wednesday this week, so we know exactly. But you know, we can't forget Antigua or St. Vincent because
Don't
we
leave them
keep on
out.
saying, you know,
Grenada, Grenada.
Grenada, St. Lucia, because it's been like that in years, and it's
Yeah.
so exciting right now, is because both of them, both St. Lucia and Grenada, have won 13 times each. So this is going to be a ding-dong battle. We know that Grenada is coming with everything they have, and we're going to give them everything we have. But Antigua's in the wings. They have been swimming extremely well, and St. Vincent have some excellent swimmers. You know, Sinead Joachim, great swimmer. She's away at university in Canada, at school in Canada. She's coming down for the meet. So we're going to see some really good times. Her brother, Alex, another great swimmer. What is good about this meet is we're going to see some very talented young swimmers from the OECS region.
Oh, yes.
So it's going to be very exciting.
Definitely. And I've always commented on, and I've always said to St. Lucia, those who have not been to the aquatic center during a swimming event, let me tell you, it is absolutely mind-boggling when you actually get there, the fanfare, the music. And what you actually see is, I know better because I've been part of groups and organizations, that in the background, things could be chaotic. But when you get to the Rodney Heights Aquatic Center, everything seemed to be cohesive, synergized from one event to the other. You could see that things are very, very well organized. In terms of the actual financing and getting everything ready logistically for this competition, which is expected to be huge, how has that been working out for you guys as the association?
That's been working very well. I must say that I'm very fortunate to be part of a group of persons that are now running the association. I feel very honored to be with them. They're very capable people, and I have seen that in their development of how they're going about this meet. Yasmin Tyson is our meet director, and she's putting a whole lot of stuff together. And in the background, our president, our vice president, Eddie Hazel, Paula James, of course, our fundraising officer, you know, Tessa is doing amazingly with fundraising, but everybody has to come together because as you recognize in sports these days, one of the most important roles in any association is someone that's going to raise funds for you because you need a lot of funds.
Yeah,
but it's even more than that because the entire executive has to get together and try to go forward and get these funds. But they're doing a fantastic job. Everything is I would say everything is in place already. And of course we will have some rehearsals along the way to make sure that everything goes right. And I can assure St. Lucia that it's going to be a fabulous show. It's going to be something that they will enjoy tremendously. And of course we have the relays, which everyone certainly looks forward to. Very exciting part of the swim meet all the time.
Definitely. I mean, you mentioned Tessa, Sue. I mean, in terms of competence, I think you guys have it spot on in terms of your organization. In terms of open water, are we still going to be having this open water event? I know it's very, very challenging in terms of the organization. Is it still going to feature in the swim championship this year?
No, we would, when I say no, we would like it to happen. It's been very difficult for us to develop open water in St. Lucia. I have tried it when Jamie was here. We tried it many times, and for some reason, you know, it seems as though some of the kids, well, they definitely prefer the pool. But we're getting them together bit by bit. LA has Lightning Aquatics has a training session on the beach on Saturday. CJ's has a training session on the beach on Saturday as well. Sharks, I go down to the beach on Sunday. I swim every morning. I go for a swim, and on Sunday I always tell the kids, you want to come on down and join me. And we have fun. We swim. We look at the fish. We look at sea eggs, whatever it is, and we swim the distance, come back. But we have never really been able to get that as a major part of the sport. We know Antigua for years because that's all they did for years was open water. St. Vincent, for years, they trained a lot in open water until they got their pool. And as a result, there's still a residual of open water swimmers there. We haven't been able to develop it. So at Congress this year, all the islands are going to get together and we're going to talk to each other. How can we develop this? We need to find a way forward because we have such wonderful beaches. I mean, for us to host the open water there on that Redby Beach, I mean, geez, well, that's the best in the world you could get, you know.
Really nice.
So it's really a pity that we can't get this together. We couldn't even get 6 swimmers from all the islands to do open water. That's why we had to put it off. But we are challenging everyone this year at Congress. We got to make it work for next year.
Definitely. All right, so this question has come up every time I've had an interview with you because I think it's critical to our development moving forward. I mean, every single association, sports association, organization, you keep hearing about facility development, the need for facilities. We heard years ago about a 50-meter pool,
Yes.
Olympic-sized pool. What is the latest on that, and what is SLASA doing to really get this thing going again?
It seemed to have gone into some form of, it was dormant for a while, and nothing was really being done about it. And as soon as this association took power, we recognized the fact that we need more pools in the island to move forward. The Rodney Heights Aquatic Center has been very, very, very good to swimming in St. Lucia. We've been able to train in that pool and host tournaments in that pool. But we're getting fairly big, and we need a little bit more. We want the playing field to be a little bit level, I would say. So a 50-meter pool, you know, would just make the playing field nice and level for us. Ability to train 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a week for everyone. That will do us a heck of a lot of good. And then, of course, we need a pool in the south.
Definitely.
To help build in the south. They are very challenged, and we feel very sorry they're so challenged, but they're still producing some good swimmers.
Shuma, Bernard, and they're doing a lot of work down
Of
south
course,
there,
and of
which is
course,
good.
as you know, Andy Edward did fantastic work in the past
Definitely.
in building Southern Flying Fish coming up. So we need that, and we are working very hard on it. The members of the executive have taken this on, have had meetings with the government, and meetings with other interested parties. Like I said, all the plans are in place already. This is nothing new. We know exactly what we're looking for, and we are going forward with it. As to how fast it is going forward, that I can't tell you, but I could promise you one thing: I will never give up.
Definitely, because we need it, and I will never allow you to give up. All right. So in terms of the competition, I mean, let St. Lucia know some of the events, the dates, venues, tickets, how they're going to get involved, because we really need St. Lucia to get involved at this event. I mean, we really need St. Lucia to come out and support our young swimmers.
Yes, definitely. The event is going to be on the 10th, 11th, and 12th at the Rodney Heights Aquatic Center. And what we are doing in the meantime, like I told you, we are, we're trying to raise money ourselves. And we're having a walk, and the walk is going to be on Saturday, October the 20th. It's starting at the Rodney Heights Aquatic Center, and it's starting at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Come along, everybody, come along, and it's part of our fundraising, and I am quite sure that we're going to get a good turnout from the clubs, definitely. And let's see if they could reach to their friends to come and help as well. But certainly this is a way going forward. And, who knows, in that walk we may meet people and encourage them to come to the meet. Because the meet's going to have some exciting events. As I said, the relays are going to be very exciting. There's going to be, this is one of the few, if not the only event that I know where we see our 8 and under swimming 25 meters. So they're going to be pretty fast. The 8 and under is going to have a splash dash of a time in that. But of course, everyone looks forward to freestyle because it's the fastest, and they're going to be the 50 meter, the 100 meter, the 200 meter, the 400 meter. And for the other, what we like to refer to as the strokes, which are the other strokes, where you have breaststroke and butterfly and backstroke. They're going to be 50 meters, 100 meters in that. And the 400 is going to be pretty exciting because it's the 400 used to be considered a long distance race. It's no longer considered long distance. It's considered medium to a sprint. So that yes, we're going to see a lot of fun in that race. But once again, the relays are what everybody look forward to, and we're going to have some very exciting relays at this meet. We're going to have some very exciting swimming because we have some great swimmers coming from Antigua and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and of course from Grenada. And they are coming in full force. Antigua doesn't care about the rivalry. Grenada has 13 wins, St. Lucia has 30. Antigua couldn't give a damn. We're coming in there to win. And St. Vincent, I believe, have the same attitude, which is wonderful, because you're going to get great competition. The challenge is going to be wonderful, and we are the ones who are going to benefit. We're going to see great swimming over the weekend, and we're going to see some really good swimming from our swimmers and from the other islands. And you know what? St. Lucia will go and win this.
Definitely. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on our set and letting St. Lucians know about this very, very critical event in our sports calendar. And I certainly wish you guys all the best. Thank you so much for.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you at the pool, huh?
Oh, definitely. I'm thinking about the 6:30 a.m. on Saturday just to show some solidarity with you guys. I think I may wake up early. But St. Lucia, the 10th, 11th, and the 12th of November 2017. the OACS Swim Championships, Rodney Heights Aquatic Center. We need all of you guys to come out and support our young swimmers because they've been in training. We just saw the short course. We saw Caprison coming along, putting a very nice event together. And we saw the selection of the team. And hats off to the association. Good night, Sue. Good night, Tessa. We know these people supporters of 758 Sports Talk. So good night to you guys. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll delve into another very critical aspect. In fact, the most critical aspect of sports development on any island, any country, any nation. We'll be talking school sports, and we'll have two new guests. We'll have Mr. Cuthbert Modest, better known as Twatide, and we'll have Patrick Pato Mafre as our guest tonight, and we'll be reading some of your messages and taking your calls a little bit later on. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 758 Sports Talk. We just had a very interesting conversation on swimming in St. Lucia and the OACS Swim Championship. And now we're about to have a very, very critical conversation on the state of school sports and pretty much some of the works of the Department of Youth and Sports over the last year or so. And we'll be talking to two persons that have a wealth of knowledge and information. Let me tell you, to my right, Mr. Cuthbert Twatide Modest. Coach coached me at under 13 level, and he has coached pretty much most of the new developing athletes that we have on a world scene right now. He works with the Department of Youth and Sports as a coach in track and field, long distance, road running, every single thing in terms of track and field. On my left is another person who has a wealth of knowledge, no stranger to sports development in St. Lucia, Mr. Patrick Pato Mafre. Guys, welcome to 758 Sports Talk. I must say it is an absolute honor and pleasure, first of all, to be working with you guys, and second of all, to have you all on my set. I'll start with you, Mr. Mafre. Just tell us a little bit about what you do, some of your responsibilities. I think it's prudent for St. Lucians to know, what your role is within the department and how you seek to execute it.
Currently, my substantive post is that of a youth and sports officer within the ministry. But recently, there were a number of changes in the department in the sense that we are now divided into two units, the youth unit and the sports unit. I serve in the sports unit, and I'm responsible for training and development as it stands. The unit is not complete, unfortunately, and so although my portfolio would be training and development, then I'm involved in everything else until we are fully staffed.
All right. Mr. Modest?
Well, my role, I've got plenty of roles in the Department of Youth and Sports. Okay? But to me, what I want to see is to develop the young children from the primary school, okay? Give them a good base, right? And the fundamental skills, so when they enter the secondary school, they will be good enough to take part in the sports. Because most times you go to secondary school sports, children, they don't know nothing like how to put their hands together, how to jump, how to throw, how to run. So I would like to see that in the Department of Youth and Sports. And currently now we have some coaches which they are doing pretty well. We have Mokiba Alcid, Michael Megabus, Bisset and Albert Reynolds, working in the schools. So I'm seeing something happening in the Department of Sports right now.
In terms of coaching, so very, very critical aspect. We've seen over the last couple of weeks, we've seen pretty much a doubling of the amount of coaches that are employed by the Department of Youth Development and Sports to go out through the length and breadth of St. Lucia and actually execute programs. Tell us a little bit more about the coaching program.
Well, actually, and it was remiss of me not to greet the audience and say good night to those listening public and the viewing public.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah.
But really and truly, what we're doing as a department is to really, in a sense, change it around.
Okay.
Because what we have found is that the development that Cuthbert Bode spoke about is very slow. And so what we've decided as a department is to be more on the ground in terms of development. And so one of the key strategies that we've developed is to put more coaches out there, more coaches on the ground, excuse me, more coaches in the schools, more coaches in the communities who should renounce the benefit of the development of the sport. And so we have now hired some 15 more coaches. So we have 20 coaches altogether spread throughout the length and breadth of the country in a coaching program. And of course, it's an experiment, something that we're trying. Ideally, and if you had speak to the coaching coordinator, Mr. Dinmobo, he'd tell you that we shot by about 50.
You would ask for 100.
He would ask for 100.
Didn't want coaches everywhere.
But we're saying that we are in the experimental phase of the program, and hopefully, and in our own mind as a department, we know it will succeed, and we're hoping that the funding will come through for us to at least double our numbers for this year to move from 20 to 40 coaches, because we're already seeing some level of progress in what we do.
Definitely. And talking about coaching, Mr. Modest, you've had a very, in terms of, you've had a storied history in terms of coaching. And I've said this so many times before, that we have to go to primary, infant school and develop our athletes and push them forward. And I mean, you've worked with some of the best now. We recently had a gold medal, and if you go back, you can track it back to Cuthbert Modest in terms of Julian Alfred. If you look at Shaper, you could Makiba, in fact, most of them.
Yeah.
I remember you scolded somebody in St. Vincent that was 8 years old.
Yeah.
You got that person running away from you, but the person developed quite nicely. Yeah, but
And that person is here.
but very early on, you've survivors. You've had this passion for sports in terms of youth development, and how has that been for you?
Very good, you know. Kenson and Mr. Pat Mafre, right? To me, my objective in life is to see that the kids and people from the ghetto mostly elevate and get themselves a good, get themselves to be a good person. Okay. So usually the money have to come, right? But I just do that for just because love of money. I do it because I love the kids and I love what I'm doing. To me, when I see a kid pass and call the coach, if their parent, you know, I'm feeling so good that better than $1,000 to me. Okay? And sometimes, you know, I see a kid have talent. I go do my best to try and get that kid in the sport, whichever sport. But when I go to schools, I just screen the kids, right? Where they play netball, but I could play netball, basketball, cricket, table tennis, whatever sport I see they're good at, and I'll go to the special coach. I will say, maybe you know, they have a good little girl playing netball, and they have a Maria school, maybe the Marsha. So I just identify them and just tell the coaches that there are some athletes.
Definitely. All right. So in terms of school sports, in terms of the framework for how school sports is executed, I think a lot of discussion has gone on in terms of the PE Teachers Association coming together and really taking over school sports. Is there something in the works to cause that to happen, or are we satisfied with what's going on right now?
Well, to be honest with you, far from satisfied. We're far from satisfied. And one would recall earlier this year, just before the closing of school, we did have a workshop which was dubbed the re-engineering school sports. And coming out of the workshop, we saw a number of issues that were discussed in terms of scheduling, in terms of progression and development. We saw issues in terms of coaching, and it's because of those things that we saw and out of the report that we are looking to redevelop the whole, or as we said, re-engineer the whole school sports unit, and not just unit, but the whole school sports program. And that is why, for instance, we have the coaches on board, and we have deployed them, as I said, in the schools and the communities. We are now experimenting again in terms of the sports this year, But already we have decided that next year it will be a totally different kettle of fish.
Okay.
Totally different kettle of fish in terms of one, the approach, and it will be more developmental in the approach, both at the primary school level and the secondary school level. There would be a number of changes. You would see a higher level competition in terms of certain schools, and then we'll see the development in the other schools. More importantly for us also, we are in the process of putting together what we call an administrative or advisory body for school sports. And we're looking really at the ministry, the unit, as currently exists now, representative from the Ministry of Education, a representative from the PE Teachers Association, representative from the fire service, representative from the police. More important for us also is a representative from the Medical and Dental Association,
Ministry of Education.
Ministry of Education, and maybe not necessarily NEMO now, but maybe on a subcommittee. So we're hoping that those persons, that core persons, would come together, and what we'll do is to put together a 3-year plan for school sports in Central going forward. Now, mind you, I don't want persons to mistake me in saying that that body, which is the advisory nature, will plan competition.
Yeah.
But we would see a developmental program taking into account all the different sectors. And so we come on board and we have a 3-year plan as to how we move forward in school sports. And of course, the Department of Youth and Sports, with its coaches and other officers, would now look to see the development of the program. Rest assured, Kenson, by the next Olympic Games, if we do not have a medal, we'll be fourth.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, but you say that now, Mr. Manfred. But we have challenges in the school. Okay, a lot of challenges.
Of course.
Because most of the kids, all right, that have talent, all right, there's no one to come and treat. Fact. Okay? And those that have no talent will there every day. Okay? And most of the kids now is you cannot get them to train because it's lessons, 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 and lessons. Now to me, that is child abuse. That's how we call child abuse because you can't tell me a child from kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, being just leave school, all right, at 2:40, you come lessons to 4:40, 4:40 go home again and do homework, and then gonna sit and contract for 5 days a week. Okay, to me that is child abuse.
Some of them have lessons on Saturdays, if they don't do it well enough.
That's child abuse, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't need all that lessons, to be intelligent. If your kid is intelligent, he's intelligent or he or she intelligent,
Yeah.
Because I watch certain people, right, train every day. Like I would tell you, like Makiba, Sheba, Zanika, Kenson, and a lot of people train every day and they still do good at school. Because to me, 5 subjects get into any university you want to is 5. You need 15 or 20, 5. But that is what you want to do for medicine, whatever you be a doctor, whatever you want to do, just choose your 5 subjects. And you could have fun. But the kids nowadays, they have no fun. It's always school, 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 and they get to hate school. And when they grow up now, all their energy now is in crime now. We be blaming them. Please don't blame them. Blame ourselves, our education system. That we do not have a proper education system. And the principal, let some children go and play at lunchtime or to lunchtime, they tell you, sit down in class. Eat your food there. Children have them walk about it. Nothing, right now. The kids now don't do nothing. Most of them do nothing in school. Just school work and all principals looking to get common entrance.
CXCs.
I
Right?
think to agree with that.
Common entrance is number 1. You want to be the best common entrance you do get. Sometimes about a whole bunch of them maybe first, but they will not get it top. That's what they're looking like, Okay, now, okay. Not every year you get a good athlete, or you understand that? Or a good cricketer, or a good netballer. But every year you must get somebody to top common entrance. So why, if some kid doing very good at sports, all right, why he is not getting a sports scholarship? And the same way you give in the academic, give it to the sports scholarship. Like you have to do good at sports, you have to have your grade 75% in your school work for me to continue. Still for that, instance, we had Darren Sami Foundation. Not Darren Sami Foundation, no giving no sports person scholarship is academic. And everybody know Darren Selby as a sports person in cricket, you know, because that guys had passed for college, Compre, who girls had passed for convent. Why they getting scholarship?
But let me just stop
Yeah,
you there,
oh.
because that's not entirely correct in terms of the Darren Time Foundation. I just want to stick up in there that the emphasis is on a cricketer. The emphasis is also on a level of academics. I don't think the emphasis is heavily on academics. And so it has to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But where I want to agree with you is the sense that not necessarily, because the academics are important. We need our
Agree,
academics
but I
too.
never-
And
It's what I say,
I am saying to
you
you as a
keep your
solution, we
self-
have proven ourselves having 2 Nobel laureates.
Yeah.
I am saying the issue for us now is how do we place emphasis and how well we place emphasis on what do we do. I am saying to you in terms of the academics, maybe it's time for us to de-emphasize common entrance because every child will go to a secondary school.
Yeah.
We have university secondary education. So if we de-emphasize education and we de-emphasize the merits of doing so well and start to emphasize in terms of sports and saying them you get a sports scholarship, and like you correctly said, give them a sports scholarship. If you have done well academically or if you have done well in sports, why is it that that person cannot now get a scholarship? Having said so, I think that we've made strides in that direction, and I need to say that, and even for now, that your own athlete, what's her name?
Julian.
Not Gillian. There's another one. Natalie Albert. Natalie Albert, who attended the Sir Ira Simmons Secondary School, was not a well-known athlete. She came last year, in fact this year, performed at a few local meets, not even at inter-schools. We didn't see at inter-schools. Performed at the local meets, was chosen to go to Curacao. Was it Curacao? To Trinidad in the CAC NACAC for the first time, age group championship, and was seen by a Jamaican coach. She is currently in Jamaica at St. Catherine High, pursuing inform free her subjects and with the potential of being St. Lucia's next up-and-coming female athlete. And that is due to largely because of sports. And I'm saying this is what I'm talking about. So there is avenue for those types of things.
Yeah, but Mr. Patrick, can I correct you? I never say about academic is not important. I would just say that because even in sports, because most of them check. If you check the scholarship they get in academic sports, they tell you must have 75% average. You know what I'm saying? And for them to continue to similar to the sports fellow, but he passed for college. She passed for convent.
There's no focus on the actual sports.
You know what I'm saying? They're on a level 2.
All right, I
But-
think
and
we've
they play
agreed.
Good baseball and good football.
All right,
They
so
must sports scholarship.
definitely. Okay, so let's get into what's been happening this year in school sports. Definitely, we've seen the commencement of school sports. I think 2 weeks ago we had a little bit of an interruption because of the weather. And obviously, I've gone around the island. I went to Vieux Fort to take in this very good game between PI and Super Comprehensive. I've done Masha, and we did a couple of interviews. And I want to pick your brain on one of the interviews that we actually did, and I think it speaks to a lot of perhaps some of the problems we've had over the years when it comes to school sports and the execution of school sports. And I want to get your opinion on it. I think we have it ready. Let's go to that first interview. Okay, so give me your full name and designation.
Claude James, Cassius Comprehensive.
Alright, so just tell us about the preparation you had for this competition.
We didn't have much time to prepare because things started really late. The ministry gave us something really late. We had a work so we had about probably a week or two to prepare. Mostly what we did was fitness and ball mastering. Just stick to our structure, basically. That's it.
Okay, so what happened in today's game? You were able to score 3 and come out victorious?
Today's game was a little bit challenging. Again, we wasn't fully prepared. As time goes by, we might be fully ready for the games. We capitalize on our opportunities. That is the main thing. When you take your chance, take our opportunities, build our confidence.
Alright, so that was a game played at the Marsha grounds. That's for those of you who didn't realize the background. And we've seen a theme coming up. What happened in today's game? We were not prepared. The ministry gave us 2 weeks notice. So what do you say to that sort of interview?
You You see, I sometimes I pity the persons being interviewed because they do not have the necessary knowledge. Within the school system, we program, and everybody within the school system knows that in the first term, we do football, we do netball, we do basketball.
I think it's been that way since before I
Yes,
think I had
yes.
I
And,
think
and,
so.
and we know that we play under 15, or this year we play in 15 and under, and under 19. Every secondary school or every participating school knows that. In some cases, some of the schools prepare from August. What may come out late is the fixtures, and we intend to correct that next year. But no school could say that they did not have adequate knowledge, because we know from the time school closes in June, July, that in September we will be having football again. And so it is now left for you to prepare. And so now, if you are serious as a coach, you're serious as an institution, you do that necessary preparation long in advance and wait for
The fixture to come out.
the fixture to come out.
Because I found it strange, because I remember when I went to Leon Hess that in the summer, we had training sessions in the summer, be it once or twice. I mean, it's part of a little summer program. And we did what we needed to do. And when the fixture came, I mean, we played. I mean, if the game was postponed or that game,
But you can say, but
What's
if
good
you, if you watch Convent, Convent every Saturday, when we just go and train, we just do our bull running and our beach walk. Convent always train every Saturday, in the summer, practicing the netballers, you know what I'm saying? But they know the tournament starting. But why other schools doesn't do that the same, They're waiting for one school open, they come and say, you come and try netball. Whereas all summer you could try the netball, you know your people from 1 to Form 2 is going to Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. You know them already. So the Form 1s alone you have to choose, So you could have your little game in the school at summertime and work on your Form 1s.
I could tell you one of the major flaws that we found in the school system is in terms of there is no longer the type of emphasis as the house system as it used to be.
Okay.
What happens at the beginning in September, in a lot of the schools, and teachers will bear me out on that, at the beginning when school enter, they would say, we have trials for those people who want to play football under 19, trials for these people who want to play netball under 19, under 15. At that point, you're saying that. And you're talking about you have come into school into September. The first week of September is for students to settle down. And the principal don't want to see you into sports, want to make sure that the school plan is settled. By the second week in the term, when you call your trials, and you start to work around, the most you could do is identify persons who have talent. They have not worked together as a team. So when the fixtures come out by the third week in September or into October, then I could see why a coach would say we only have 2 weeks to prepare, because of how the system of preparation is. But if you know, for example, that in September, early October, that we're going to have it, you're going to pray way in advance. And to me, whereas that excuse may hold some merit for the younger ones just coming in, it should have absolutely no merit for the under 19 who are Form 4s and Form 5s, who've been in school for 4 and 5 years. You should know that team, and it helps even more now that the FA has under 15, under 16, under 18, under 19, under 22. Those are students who are involved in football, for example, all year round. And so there is no reason why any team in the school tournament should be underprepared. No reason.
Okay, so we have another tip to get to, because we're dealing with some of the stuff that we hear, especially for me as somebody reading out some of the stuff that we get from school sports. We have another clip to show, and then we're going to have a follow-up shortly after. Let's get to that one. Your full name and designation. You have to speak up,
All right, well, I am Mr. James Solomon, coach of the Babono Secondary School basketball team.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what happened today.
What happened today showed children with heart, children with a passion for the game, and children that need a little more work, a little more fine-tuning.
Okay. All right, the score was low. I mean, for a basketball game, 6-5. So what do you attribute these low scores?
The low scores, lack of preparation, lack of training, lack of patience, and that is what caused that. Just not a lack of effort. There was quite a bit of effort. The children gave, they're all on the court, but there was indeed on both parts a lack of training.
All right, thanks. Okay, so a very, very similar similar theme, but I think salient to this is the fact that we had an under-19 basketball game that ended 6-5. This is a penalty shootout in football. This is, I mean, and the question is as to what do you attribute the scores, and the person he said a lack of training and preparation. But I mean, in most of the sporting disciplines, we've seen this sort of stuff in terms of scoring and that sort of thing. So I ask you, to what do you, Mr. Marfan? I guess I'll get my opinion from you after Mr. Modest discourse.
You see, what one has to recognize, and correctly so, that what we have recognized over the years, coming from the primary school into the secondary school, we do not see that transfer of skill. And to be honest with you, most of the students who come in at that level, they're not ready. They're not ready. Some of them can't even catch a ball.
Yeah.
And so the skills are not there. And it's unfair that every school, in some instances, wants to play everything. And we have said so over the years as a department, as a ministry, that all schools cannot play everything. I am saying to you, St. Joseph's Convent, for instance, is an all-girls school. The expectation is they have something like 600 students to choose teams from.
Yeah.
You take a Grosley Secondary School, for instance. I am reliably informed that Grosley School this year received something like 45 students, intake of 45. It may be more. But out of the 45, you had 20 girls. Some of them who had never played sport before. But you want to try to put together under 15 team. Impossible.
Yeah.
So I am saying that's one level at which we see a disparity. Secondly, we're saying that if they are not prepared to play, do not force yourself in competition. Because I'm saying to you, at the end of the day, you want to go in, and like you said, 6-5 in an under 19 basketball. Granted, what we have done, because we recognize it, and instead of we now playing basketball running score, because we recognize the stoppages all the time. We just prolong the game, and at the end of the day, some of them don't even know the rules. So we have two issues here. One is an issue of the skill transfer, in which we now have more coaches going out to teach the skill. Secondly, we need to collaborate with the association so we could see basketball not just at the highest level, but at the lowest level. Maybe it is time for us, in terms of our own development, to move away from a full-size basketball. Maybe at the primary school level, we play free and free.
Okay.
At the lower levels of secondary school, we play free and free. So we're looking at ways to change it. But I think a large part of it has to be the transfer skills from the primary school to secondary school. And as Mr. Modest said now, this is done through the academics and not necessarily for sports.
Okay.
Well, my take on that is the children nowadays don't play. Most children don't play sports. They play, like they will come and say, "What? They won't take a sweat. They won't this, they won't that." You know, they don't play at all. Now, the teacher, or the principal, or the coaches, the teachers in the school system, you don't realize that you're watching the guys play there. You watch that they have no skills to put them in that competition. Under 19, but you go see people that could play. I mean, if I'm not ready, I will not play. Okay? Not because they tell me come and play that basketball game to make a number, to show the ministry we have 40 teams taking part. No. If you have 10 teams taking part, all right, and they play competitive basketball, it's okay. We go see a better competition and we go see better results. But if we have 20 teams, only one person could play basketball on each team.
Yeah.
Doesn't make no sense.
Okay.
It's the same way watching some leagues, some football leagues. If two guys good, nine not good, and they play in competition. And now as our football, everything going down because we not serious in developing the children.
All right, so that brings me to the final interview I've done in terms of school sports so far, and we're going to get your opinion on that, and we're going to think of, I'm definitely going to ask, okay, how do we remedy that situation? But this interview is pretty much an interview with one of the perhaps main players of the team that actually came out victorious, 6-5. And we actually had an interview with this young man, and let's take in that interview and see what he actually said. Okay, good.
Alright, this is Quentin Bowney from Barbono. We played a good match against Compre. It was an evenly matched team. We played our best and we tried and we came out with victory. Bringing up Donnell, scored the last 3 points, the 3 pointers to make us win. We want to be the Barbono Secondary School. Thank you, Lord, and we pray. Thank you very much.
So,
A 3-pointer.
very, in all honesty, satisfied with actually winning. And I bring these things up to St. Lucia and to our little discussion here because it gives us an idea of not just the physical aspect of what's going on, but some of the thinking. I mean, to have played 3 quarters and to have barely scored and get one basket that actually gives you a victory and to celebrate it in that manner. I mean, what does that say?
Well, first of all, when you hear that we got a 3-pointer,
Mhm.
it means that half of your points was scored by one scoring shot.
One scoring shot for entire game.
You didn't have a 3-pointer, so it means that you had one open field goal, which is 2, and the other one would have been from the foul line. So in other words, you made 3 scoring shots over a period of 40 minutes.
Yes.
And you satisfied that you've won. I am saying, where does our own necessary ethics, but where does our pride lie in terms of what do we do? What
Is it
do we
about
do for?
winning or is it about
about winning? Is it about developing skills? Is it about moving further? What is that we need to do is to now start a new type of movement in terms of how we do it. Because when I played sport, and I was never one of the better sportsmen in St. Lucia, but I understood clearly that once you played the game well, you had more in terms of the enjoyment of winning. The most difficult way to lose a football match is 1-0.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. As opposed to I'm losing 12-0, because you know if you lose 12, you're not good. But 1-0, and I'm saying that we now have to start to put the emphasis not on winning, but on how we play the game, and as I said earlier on how we transfer the skills from one level to the next. In my own view, agriculture will not bail us out of our economic situation. Tourism will not bail us out of our economic situation. Sports will. Because sports is an industry. It's a true industry.
One of the largest industries in the world.
Multifaceted. And I'm saying that we now must put our money where our mouth is and put more emphasis on sports, support the department with more resources. We need more coaches. And we need to diversify. For instance, at Arthur Lewis, what's the sports program? We need persons to understand that you become a physiotherapist, you could become a coach, you could become a
kinesiologist,
all different aspects just using sports. And that is what we need to do. We need to now to export our people. We want to have world beaters in sport throughout. We want to send them all over. You see like how Jamaicans are all over the world? We want to be all over the world, just as the Jamaicans in terms of our sporting prowess.
Okay. You only watch that one aspect, but the other aspect I watch that, I have to smile, why? But if you watch the school show, a football match playing at Marshall, and Chipo school just there, high school just there, you only getting the players with the support. So what encourage you as a footballer or a player? You have no encouragement, you have no support. So then now the sport's going down. Because long time ago, primary school, everybody supporting you. And you went, let's go, clap. But now you get enough. You just paying for the wallet. Or just paying for paying
the benches.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, you need support. You will have to change our way of thinking. Because a little half day out of school, not be very passing your CXC.
Okay. All right. So definitely we've spoken about a lot here tonight, and we definitely want to get the public in. I just want to say at the end of the day, this, for me, we all need to look at that person in the mirror. We all, because from the discussion you could see, well, parents have a role, the teachers, the principals, every single citizen. What am I doing about the sporting landscape? It's okay, it's all good and well to say the ministry could do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I mean, that's an easy thing. but definitely, what am I doing? We'll take a break. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll open up the phone lines and we'll discuss a little bit more about what is going on. The number to call is 4519788, and you can also send your WhatsApp messages to 4880929. We'll entertain your calls and your messages after the break. We'll be right back. Sports, the 2017 sports calendar is off the ground. We have netball under 19 and under 15. We have football ongoing. We also have basketball. Table tennis, Chris Wells is organizing a table tennis tournament. You will be getting some more information on that. And I could definitely see, in terms of the Department of Youth Development and Sports, Isabel Markey, they're from early, leaving late. Patrick Maffrey, they're from early, leaving late. This man, Mr. Modest, carrying javelins from Timbuktu to Castries. And so, I mean, the effort is there. Yeah, but I need to get into some of the messages because we have a lot. Somebody says, I have much to contribute on that topic. I don't want to start because I will take your entire platform. All I will say for now is there needs to be a balance in academics and extracurricular, but also the development and interest must start early, as too many students enter secondary schools lacking the basics or pick up on sports too late. Their interests seem to be elsewhere, as free time is now consumed by technology and relationships. We also need persons to identify the talented individuals early and to consistently encourage them, putting in place the platform for further development. Schools have the knowledge of dates for sports, but when the challenge now is the challenge is lack of encouragement from parents and also students. Rather, the students may students may travel or rather stay home to play video games, for instance. We cannot force persons to come out anymore, as everyone suddenly know their rights. Football, for instance, through the numerous academies organized competitions, and popularity through the media all help to benefit development in football as football continues to hold its own. All right, we have our very first caller. Good evening. Sports Talk. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Good night. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution, caller.
Hello.
Go ahead with your contribution. Turn on the volume of your
Hello?
TV. Good evening, sir. All right, so we seem to have some difficulties with this caller.
I can barely hear you. Can you get the
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. What you're saying is very interesting, but we tend to look at the problems from the leaves rather from the roots. The abandonment of the club structure, the failures for us to sharpen the competitiveness of our youth should start from the earliest forms. When I grew up, we had clubs in almost every district. It may not have been as well organized as the leagues and things we have. But from one at my St. Mary's College, we had clubs playing Form 1 and Form 2 in competition. Building up the club structure brings out the camaraderie among youth.
Yes.
It makes them competitive and involved. The failure of the house system, where schools compete from Division 1 to Form 4 and fighting for places. Every child was asked, persuaded, or even coerced to take part in house games, house matches. Because the basis for all the sporting development particularly is competitiveness. You have neglected that. For too long have our governments, our people, our institutions failed to realize that sport is not just a pastime.
Yeah.
It's a multi-billion-dollar business.
Absolutely. One of the biggest in the world.
As sport, as relaxation, as a movie coming on watch. So there's no real keenness among our youth to take part in sports. Sports can replace all the IT innovations we have, but we can never get far enough if we don't look to the roots. People like Twatine come once every generation or so. But there are people in every area, in every district, in every country. Take Labrie, take Ansley, take Vieux-Fort. Think of the fellows who played a major role in development of sport. L'Oreal Geese and his wife, the chap after whom the stadium is named. You go to Labrie with the Watson Louise and the fellow who just that Rubin and those chaps. You go to Ansley. You look at the people who played part as village participation. Get the villages, get the schools involved in getting sport from there. All the highfalutin plans you have will go to naught unless you have competitiveness at the youth level. That's one of the major mistakes you have made.
All right. Thank you so
Two,
much.
the government do not take a particular interest in sport unless it's politically convenient. The business places don't consider sport. Look, we have Zimbabwe playing West Indies today. You cannot get one iota of the match on local television. We don't have radio coverage of sport. Winner TV is fighting, I think, a losing battle.
Wow.
Radio coverage of sport is virtually non-existent. We are trying to bring local sports into some focus, but people are simply not interested in sport except as a pastime.
Yeah.
All the authorities understand that sport is a major thing worldwide, but they can't find the time to go to the roots of the problem and see what is happening. Because along the way, we have lost competitiveness, we have lost discipline, we've lost camaraderie, we've lost teams fighting. Remember the times of RC boys? If you follow the RC boys, that fever, that are scratchily organized, but are fantastically cohesive. Where schools competed, they would boast about beating Methodist, beating Anglican, beating RC boys. In St. Mary's College, you have fierce, after almost 100 years, you have fierce competition among the houses, where you have college boys, big men, 60, 70 years old, say, I'm a Prez, I'm a Rodney, I'm a this. There were houses of fighting for competition. Let us go back to the roots and give it an objective, analytical view, and try to work from there. That's where we start. I can give you reams and reams of paper as to what we should do, but we have to look to the roots and work from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate this contribution because it actually,
thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. It actually delves into some of what I was saying. We all need to really sit down and have a little conversation with ourselves and find out what can we do. I have a number of messages here from persons. If we are to examine schools basketball over the last few years, there are only two teams that consistently give a good representation of themselves, SMC and South Louis Community College. Netball is also taking a nosedive as well. If we continue to wait for students to reach secondary schools to introduce them to sports, we should expect it to only get worse. We need to start earlier, infant and primary. Good evening, you're live. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, good night, guys. I'm here to talk about the development of sports in St. Lucia. I don't think they put an emphasis on like the off season and the strength when the athletes, the younger athletes, have to build on their strength, especially in high school, well, secondary school. Because as an athlete, right now I'm an athlete, and I could tell you, normally the government wants to help you, or everyone always wants to help too late. They always want to help like probably a month before big games, or like 2 weeks before the big games and all of that.
Oh, you have to make the national team for you to get help on some occasions from corporate St. Lucia too. Go ahead.
Pardon me, say that again?
No, I was just concurring with what you're saying, because some persons experience having to actually make the national team before corporate St. Lucia can say, hey, let me help this person out. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying. So yeah, normally we have a problem with putting the emphasis on the strength training for the athletes, because we have a lot of talent in St. Lucia. Believe it or not, there are countries with billions of people, and we have more talent than they have in our little country.
Imagine that.
Because I've seen for myself. There are countries where people struggle to break 10-5, 10-4, or 45 seconds or 46 seconds in countries with billions of people. And we have people down here who do that very easily.
Definitely.
So, especially in football, I've seen a lot of talent in football, basketball. I've seen guys jump with 40-foot verticals down here, and we don't put emphasis on the strength training. That's where we have to. Once we focus on the strength training before the action, before we go into competition, I don't think there will only be a handful of people that could beat us in anything.
Thank you very much. There's no lack of talent for sure. Thank you so much for your contribution, Colin.
All right, no problem.
All right. Somebody says it is clear that the issues facing sports are multifaceted. I believe one of the factors hindering early sports interest and development is lack of physical activity. Parents have become too protective. Gone are the days when kids were allowed to run around freely and enjoy basic physical activity. And I think Tuatine from Conway would tell you. I totally agree. I will agree with Tuatine on the point that there is more focus on academics than sports. We have lost the sense of pride in promoting sports. There were less subjects to study and greater achievement in sports. Instead of introducing other academic subjects, sports should be introduced as a complete part of the school's curriculum. All right, somebody say, great show, big up Kenson, Tuatini, and Pato. Mr. Patrick Maffrey. Somebody says, gentlemen, good night. Okay, that was from the other show. Gentlemen, good night. I agree that everyone needs to play a part in the development of sports. However, I'm disappointed with the Minister of Sports for not adequately supplying the necessary facilities and programs to cater for the primary schools students, in particularly, especially in the field of netball. More could have been done. We need the minister to come out and speak to us on the ministry's sports plans. All right. Somebody says, I believe that more focus should be placed on the primary schools where sports is concerned, so that when these students enter secondary school, they'll be ready and able to compete in the various sporting disciplines. And this is very true because the basics, catching the ball, I mean, passing the ball, you're not going to succeed in netball or basketball if you cannot catch.
Can you give a scenario about recently happened now? Okay, Ave Maria had a netball court. Okay, I should take care of it. I go in on the beach, look for take some sand, take cement. For Miss Muggy was there, patch all the holes, mark the court, pin the pole, put up nets, and having competition. We used to have houses, free houses we had, right? Then we had children playing against Methodists. We said, I want international. Bring Methodists inside the yard. The whole yard full of people. You know what happened? They cut the netball court and they put something to eat. I fight that down tooth and nail, but nobody never hear me. Now they want to bring back the court in the Avima school again. That's amazing, you know. Up to now, you know, Avima used to be a place where children want to come for PE. You know. Everybody want for PE because PE had a nice PE program there. But since Miss Maggie gone, Miss Dubule gone, chaos. And the principal have a great part to play there.
Yeah, definitely. Principals have to gravitate to whatever the PE teachers would want to do. And we'll have a little discussion on that. Somebody says, I agree that schools must be prepared to be able to compete, but this does not apply in all instances. For example, basketball, for instance, on the under-19 level, as we speak, would have about just 4 schools. We would have just about 4 schools in the competition if we go by that rule. So we must look at those teams that even if they can't compete or on par with the other schools, that they have potential to develop through the experience they receive. If not, then some competition should not be held until a satisfactory number of schools can make the grade. In the interim, have exhibition games. We must also look at the logistics of the venue, the times of competition, and the support base, how easy or difficult it is to get supporters to and from the venues. So there are a lot of dynamics in organizing school sports, the venues. I see you doing a lot of scheduling and rescheduling. How does that work for you?
Well, let me tell you, it's really a hassle in terms of the scheduling and the rescheduling. And this year, for example, in response for football, what we've recognized that first of all, we have chosen at least 6 venues. The majority of football projects. And the reason is simple. There are a number of issues that comes up. One, in terms of adequacy. St. Lucia Football Association is the one supplying the referees and the pop official, and so we need to give them the venues. Secondly, we must take it surface because you want a safe environment in terms of the surface for students to play. Thirdly, you want a facility which has a change room.
Yeah.
So they could go in, because this term we're supposed to be playing female football. We may not do so. We may do so into next term. And just as the males, you need some level of privacy for changing and for so on. Again, safety is another issue.
Yeah.
You want that when persons come to the venue that they feel safe and secure. You want them seated. For example, the sub, they could sit down and watch a game as opposed to going under a tree on a little corner, and then at the end of the day that one bag disappears and this one bag disappears. You need to have change room. So we have chosen specific venues. And unfortunately, we have no control of the weather. The rain has come down. And then as a responsible agency, you have to take a decision as to what do you do when the facility is too wet. And so last week, for example, at Masha, we did an inspection at Masha. In the opinion of certain people, we could have played football. But yes, we could have played football today. But what would happen the following day when it dried up? So as a responsible institution, you need to look beyond the today's match and to move beyond. So they have a number of little issues, and so we have to be rescheduling. We're hoping to finish by the third week of November, which is running tight because that is the beginning of the end of term exams.
So that is what I wanted to get into in terms of rescheduling, because we've had discussions on rescheduling versus sharing points.
Yes.
And we've had extensive discussions where you look at the pros and cons of doing both, and then you find yourself caught between a rock and a hard place. Parents, as Tuatini spoke about ad nauseum, by the time end of term start to come around, after you've rescheduled, I mean, you've had rain and that sort of thing, they tend to start pulling their children away from the playing fields. So there's a discussion of, okay, so instead of you have a fixture, go by the fixture. If you have inclemency, you share the points. You know, you stick to your schedule. You start on a particular day, you end on a particular day.
Very good. Good point.
The problem with that good point is the fact that you may end up with teams playing perhaps only 2 games for a term, or probably 3 games, and school sports is about development.
Yes.
So you have that sort of argument against that. And then you have rescheduling that people tend to, by the end of November, by the beginning of November, people tend to turn off.
Yes.
So what do you do?
And I'm even going one step further in terms of this year. And for maybe for the last 5 years, we played in football 4 groups of 4. That means you play 3 matches.
Yeah.
1 match gets rinsed out, you play 2 matches for an entire term. And so teachers were saying, but we don't get that opportunity. And so most of the groups this year are 5 and 6. So you have more games. Yeah. And we try as far as possible to schedule. And that's why we try to start early. And we were ready to start. But again, the grounds and the weather was not kind to us this year. And I want persons to understand clearly. And I'm even worried now what's going to happen next term when it comes into the track and field season. Yeah. Whether or not we'll be able to put out all of those games, and it may mean that schools will have to come together when we have clear days to have the track and field championship. But I see no reason why 2 secondary schools, for instance, and we have smaller ones, why 2 of them cannot come together and have a successful track and field meet.
Yeah. All right, we have a number of messages coming in there. Good night. If it's compulsory for each primary school to have a qualified PE teacher, how comes the principal is the one making the decision to hire that person and not the youth and sports department? The Ansaway Primary School principal took out a very experienced class teacher who is already an old man with no physical energy to be the PE teacher when so many coaches with the necessary criteria applied for the position. That school is suffering tremendously in the sports. PE teachers is another ticklish sort of thing, because a PE teacher, and I hope St. Lucians know that, a PE teacher is not necessarily a coach. Right. There's a distinction between the two, and because of that, we found ourselves in a lot of problems in terms of development.
Yes.
And you had the constant desire for persons to do better when it comes to PE teachers.
Yeah, and you're very correct. But
I agree. They have some PE teachers. I think they are there for the money. because they might go in a corner, they'll say, children, do this, you're running, so do that. And with no plan to develop their kids, okay? When if you're dealing with primary school children or infant school children, you have to get involved with the kids, you know. Get there, be on the ground, show them, demonstrate for them, laugh with them, be like them.
Yeah.
So they go enjoy it and they want to come to do PE. Most children nowadays, when they do PE, if the teachers they run away, say, that teacher, I want to be that teacher. That teacher is making no sense. That teacher, you haven't enjoyed nothing. And PE is a fun, all right? A fun, progress fun, okay, and development. PE right now in schools is quiety.
One of the things I need to say
Run
on
there,
that.
don't say nothing. Run there. That's PE now, you know.
One of the things I need to say is that we, as a ministry and as a department, we're extremely grateful when maybe 4 years ago, education took the stand to have PE teachers at the level of the primary school. We were extremely grateful. We were extremely happy. We felt we would have done something, change and revolutionize the sport. But a lot of these PE teachers at that level, they lack the training. You have all the qualified teachers, PE teachers who have gone to university and studied PEs, all of them at the secondary school.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody to tell me that there are more than 15% of the PE teachers at the primary school
Which
who
is a
are
problem.
qualified
Which is a
at
problem.
PE.
And this is where you need qualified training in terms of physical education. You need it at the primary school.
But that's not the problem. The problem is children in the primary school, 40 minutes for a whole week of PE. Whole week of PE. What expect you go learn from that? 40 minutes or 40 minutes whole week?
Per class.
No.
So it's
Once you know you're having PE, children need to play every day. 40 minutes for every day. You need to play, have fun every day, not once a week. So once a week I come there, I do it, we doing dodging. By the time next week you forget about dodging again, what motor skill you learn. But if you continue doing it every day, you must get it.
Definitely. And again with basketball, like I was saying to somebody when they hear 6'5" and that sort of thing. A lot of sports right now, I mean, we're in a scientific era. It's a lot about muscle memory. So if you're spending, like you said, only 40 minutes for a whole week, and I mean, couple that with another island where people just shooting. They on the court, they doing their thing and that sort of thing. And you have that inculcated in the culture, in the school, in the community. I mean, muscle memory, you'll not take 20 shots before you score once. And so we have that problem where persons just seem to just be unaware of some of just the basic scientific principles that cause success. All right, we have another number of messages. Good night to you, Kenson, and your guests. I applaud the works and efforts of Pato and Cuthbert. I wish to ask them, what role does the present Minister of Sports play in school sports? For years, the primary schools have been neglected, and I believe as a former athlete, the minister should show more valuable role in sports in St. Lucia, especially his community of Dennery South. So somebody asking the question about what role, I'm not sure any of you want to touch on that. I think, hey, we invite the minister to come on 758 Sports Talk. Once we get him here, you could have all the questions for him. I don't think it would be advisable for these guys to, since we're not sure. In terms of location, in terms of location of games and getting persons to watch the game, example, basketball. Some schools have a basketball, netball, and volleyball court. My question is, why don't you just play some of the games at the school grounds? That way you get other kids interested. I think that's a very good contribution.
We have tried in the past. We have tried, and we've been accused as a department of disrupting the school because you play the games when classes should be going on, and so you have been disruptive.
And you cannot be quiet at a basketball game.
Yes, and so we have, in a sense, ceased that practice. But more importantly for us to, it's not something that we are opposed to doing, but part of the issue for us is first term. First term, September to December. 3 out of those 4 months are in the hurricane season. It's bad weather. That is why we've been forced to play most of our matches in the indoor facility.
Make more indoor courts.
that's what we need to do. And funny enough, ironic this year that we couldn't play
At the indoor,
at the indoor in during rain.
Yeah.
Because what happened, the back got flooded and the toilet areas flooded, so person couldn't come inside. So even though we had the indoor, we were basically still
still out.
Now, so come to you one more thing about the football and the referee. To me, that's my opinion. I don't like the referee. To me, you're supposed to have the best referee in them little games to control the game. You're not putting anybody to referee, you know what I mean? Because that is critical. That's your development there. So we need the best referees to referee these games. You know what I'm saying? So they could control the game
and teach
okay?
them and
teach the children and you have things that there's somebody you do have things that father thing okay free red card or something. I mean, whereas you.
But that speaks to the associations.
You know? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that speaks to the associations, the local associations getting involved as well. Because in terms of officiating, you would find basketball. I saw persons who at the final coach refereeing, and you could see they trying to assist. And you know, we definitely need associations to get involved as much as possible as well. All right, somebody says principals cannot take the full blame. The ministry puts pressure on the schools for results, so some leaders only care about being the top school for common entrance. Also, there is a complaint about the lack of finances for facilities, yet with every government, millions are being wasted in mismanaged projects, St. Jude's Hospital, and the list goes on and on. All right, somebody says, I remember when I attended the Cicero Combined School, we defeated Carmen Rennie 81-2 in a netball match. Clearly, they were not ready. I agree that if a team is not ready, don't enter the competition. Now, who should take the responsibility for making that decision?
I think it's a combination. And we have, ultimately, the final decision rests with the school authorities. But we also have an obligation as a ministry to go into development. So if we conduct developmental programs, and this year, for instance, we were clear in our direction, and we said during the summer we would have conducted, and we did conduct a basketball program, and ask schools and students to come forward. We did conduct an athletics program, and we're saying that the ministry, after that type of intervention, could advise you and say to you, look, we think that you're ready, and that is why I'm saying the approach has to be different in terms of our whole ranging in our school sports. And as of next year, whether or not the schools like it, the principals like it, as a nation and as the persons who understand the development in the field, we will be going into pools. So we'll have a pool, maybe your top 8 or your top 6, your super 6, where we see competition. And then we'll have another pool where we'll see the development. So we not necessarily may have a competition, we may have a festival that everybody will come in and come out and do so. But we have to take the hard and fast turn as to if we want development, we must see a change in a different
way. Okay, but let me tell you, Mr. Malfrey, that's my opinion again. That's what I did. I came to Ave Maria School. Okay, my daughter was in the infant grade K. Okay?
The stage 1 then?
Yeah, grade K. Yeah. So, when I come there, right, the netball team getting endless licks, you know, 40 from me, Miss Bagay, my team Bagay, where at Miss Bagay. I'm not playing no netball this year, okay? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna train I develop the Sanet freeze, Sanet freeze, and twos and ones, I developing them for next year. I'll take part in the competition next year. From there, I start working with them for the whole year. I'm saying every Saturday I go in the complex. I used to have Cameron Rennie, Tapio, everybody training of them together. I mean, we came out and Ave Maria beat that Canaries in the Socorama, you know. And we played double finals. We had under 14 and under 15. So not bound to be the ministry. Because the school's supposed to have somebody there if you're interested in the ball. Even you're interested, you making sure that you get your teams ready. Because are you train track and field? Tara used to play cricket. I made her from Ave Maria School. I used to play outgoes in tip and run every lunchtime, you know. I play netball, I play all sports. You know, and I identify the children. So not in the ministry. We could do it.
All right. Somebody says, good evening, gentlemen. Whilst I am sitting here listening and agreeing, however, after we have developed our athletes to international standard, there isn't anything in place down here to assist them down here regarding coaching. So, yes, good evening. You are live. Go ahead with your contribution. Okay, all right. We seem to have missed that caller. All right. Okay, we seem to have missed that caller. All right. So I think we almost there in terms of time. I'm just going to read this message before I ask for your last take. Good evening. I am a past primary school teacher around 1979. The Ministry of Education. Part away laughing. Person was teaching 1979. The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with OCOD.
Scams.
Okay, look somebody calling this phone now. The number to call for contributions is 4519788. This is a WhatsApp number here. I am a past primary school teacher around 1979. The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with Oscar, he will tell me a little bit about that because I had a 3-year summer programs which includes a physical education, Theophila Charles. Love that lady. Majid Pierre, love that man, are both products of these opportunities. These were great training days, and both primary and secondary schools were equipped with qualified PE teachers. Please bring this back. Okay, so Mr. Mafre, we're going to get you to comment on that and give us your final take because we're pretty much out of time.
Well, the person is very correct. I think what we need to do now is to train our teachers, both physical education teachers at both the primary and the secondary school level. So there need to be continuous training. But also we need to get the involvement of the community. We need to get the involvement of the association. And more importantly, we also need to get the involvement of the parents. Because there's nothing wrong for once he or she has the time to come and give time to the school to teach the different sports and get them going. I'm saying, in saying that, we have to be careful because you may have an interest, you may not necessarily have the skill, but make the training available. And the ministry, through the Department of Youth and Sports, would be more than willing to go out and do volunteer training for persons who have an interest so they could develop the skills because we really need the officials.
Right,
so
somebody called back, so let me get this call in. Good evening, you're live, your final caller. Go ahead with your contribution. Thanks for your patience. Could you turn down the volume on your television set, please?
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Bonsoir, monsieur.
Bonsoir.
Oui, comment vous êtes?
Pas ça.
Moi, pas ça parler anglais.
Parlez pas toi, parce que moi, je voulais lire entire sports package.
Vous voulez tout parler ensemble?
Ensemble, pas toi.
C'est créole.
Créole. Si ça fait ça,
Vous écoutez moi?
Non, écoutez.
Bon, d'accord. Moi, je voulais parler avec quoi? Moi, je voulais parler avec vous. À un sujet qui a constitué nous un pays. Bon, est-ce que maman peut parler avec vous?
Écoutez.
Parlez-moi de ça, monsieur. Oh. Oui. Eh bien, monsieur, ça m'a voulu dire là. C'est qualité, condition. Nous, ni un pays qui est criminel. C'est criminel, ça là. C'est nous, mon pays, qui pour manger ça en qualité manière. Nous méritons faire. Parlez-moi de ça, garçon. C'est juste. C'est mon nom qui tue docteur, qui tue prêtre, qui tue dame en l'église catholique Sainte-Lucia. Et avec yo la ka vivre. Bon, c'est travail nous qui nous pour payer yo. Payer moun qui ka occupé yo. Moun qui ka bayo manger. Effectivement, nous ni qui pas fait ni pour payer dépenses c'est moun ça qui là. C'est moun ça qui là. Si vous regardez bien, premier à me mort. Ça qui te dit à nous faire là. Trois pénoms ça là. Avec panique public à sous Columbus Square. Avec tout petit maman, tout mettre l'école, toute maman, tout papa, toute vie, ouais qui m'a dit au tuer un monde. Les autres là, j'ai eu avec eux. Merci encore, monsieur. Ça, c'est contribution, moi.
Ok, merci pour contribution.
Ouais.
Mati coupon tout ça a été dit.
Ça, c'est pas l'espoir.
C'est pas sport, c'est pas du tout.
C'est un beau cas comme moun dans l'escola man.
Ça, c'est tout le monde vient ensemble pour ouais.
Bien ensemble. Moi quoi
he was more referring to public hanging, public punishment, but we on the line of sports.
Yeah, so I was wondering if he was going to come full circle and
right.
say we need to all come and go and see what's going on in sports so that we can do something. I thought there would have been a connection at the end. Mr. Modest, we out of time. What do you finally say? I'm seeing you writing something.
No,
I know what
I said, I want to say that let the children be children, okay? They must have their days. Because we're just making them do what we want. For instance, child going to school. No, the child having like a little school boy or school girl. You give them big, you have them big, they're not playing, they're not having fun, they're not socializing if they're good friends, nothing, just come there, at school over, drive them up, home, lessons, they don't have nothing there, they're not walking, now couple of days they're getting obese, you want to run on the beach, run on this, no, let the children have their days, have their fun. That's what I was saying. Let them have their fun.
I realized I had to interrupt you for the last caller who went on.
That's no problem. I'm hoping that because of the interruption, that has earned me the spot to come back to this program again because there are a number of things.
We have a lot to talk about. Let me tell you, we didn't even get into. Let me tell you, track and field and the Saturday, or whether we're going to move in that direction eventually. That's for another show. But let me say thank you guys for coming on the show, Mr. Mafre. It's a pleasure to have had you and Mr. Modest on our show tonight.
What I'm saying, the parents of some schools from the Cassius area, every Saturday, I just have training from 7 o'clock for the road
that's
race.
What the man would have said.
For the road race. Road races, so if you want your child to be a road race, because they have a road race in the end of November, if you want your kid to take part, all right, I'll be there every Saturday, right? Right now, Anglican, Methodist, Marshall, whatever school you are at, I'm willing to help you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. All right, so we have a couple of messages I'm just going to go through. Hey, shout out to 1987 All Stars under 13 boys. I've been wondering what's going on in this All Stars, qualifying for the finals in the Western Zone Developmental League. Somebody says, is there going to be bus coming from area on Friday? Okay, that was for the previous show. That message just came in. They had the football, the cricket, in Soufrière. Somebody asked how many netball coaches are there in the primary and the secondary schools. I'm sorry, I do not have that actual number, but I know there are coaches that are now around the island pretty much helping with the development of netball in St. Lucia. All right, so thank you very much again for allowing us into your houses tonight. A very important, very salient conversation on school sports. This is pretty much the future of all nations in terms of sport. There's a coaching program going on. You can contact the Department of Youth Development and Sports to find out who are these individuals that are throughout your communities trying to assist. We have David Henry doing his football thing on the West Coast. We have a number of coaches. Junior DeRose employed with cricket. We have Chris Wells with table tennis. We have a number of coaches that are now being paid by the ministry to develop. So if you are interested, you have kids that are showing an interest in sports, call the department, find out where the coaches will be deployed. We have Ron Dumerville doing a very good job with basketball, and you can start the development from as early as possible. As we've concluded today, we need to start a little bit earlier for our youngsters. All right? So on behalf of our entire sports team, I am Kenson Casimir wishing you guys a good night. See you soon.
Good night.